Okay, mate. So howdy, guys. Welcome to the final chapter of our little bag tutorial. We now are gonna create a stylized texture or a material for our bag here. We're just gonna. I'm gonna try to go this as fast as I can to. I'm trying. I'm I'm gonna try to cover this and do this as quickly as can, so you guys can really, because this is a really cool simple texture. But we're gonna have some fun with this. So we're gonna start by adding a fill layer. Okay, I'll put this fill layer inside here. I'm gonna call this stylized bag. Yeah, sure, stylized bag will do. Sure, delete it. Okay. So we're gonna do now. We're gonna start just with a base. Oh, didn't mean to do that. We're gonna start off with a base color and a roughness. So we're gonna give this. I don't know. Let's go with a color. How about? Why don't we go with some kind of random? You know what? Let's just start with a theme. Let's go with a brown, darker brown color. I've done this one before, so I'm gonna do the brown. It's pretty good. And some nice roughness. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna call this the base, and now we're gonna be playing around with this. And you can increase those, change those later, but for now we're gonna start adding. I'm gonna add a blank layer, and I'm just gonna give this a filter, and I'm gonna use the HSL layer filter, so I can just like. With this, you have to put this on pass through. So now I can add saturation, remove, and I'm gonna make it a little bit saturated and lower it down a little bit. Yeah. If you want to, you can also like lower the intensity of this, but just leave it to 100. I'm gonna call it the HSL 1. We might add another one, depends. I can add another one if I wanted to, right? Or actually just duplicate this one. Don't need to do that again. And I'm gonna change the color. Let's go for this something like that. And I can add now a black mask to this, and I can add a generator. I think I'm gonna add just a dirt generator for this, just to show it. Let's see what we're doing there. Some contrast, I'm going to scale. Yeah. Yeah, some more. It's not that visible, honestly, but I can make a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna do that. There we go. Now, on top of this, we're gonna play around with some of the layers. I'm gonna show you mainly what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna play a lot with the filters. A really cool one is the contrast filter, because if I put this to 1, it gives me this sort of a really nice, like, sharpened, stylized look, and I like that. And I can then go here and add something like a blur, just a little bit, like 0.1, 2, 15. Yeah, and then play around with the levels, and I can just lower this down. And we have ourselves a really nice stylized look already. Look at that. Super cool. I like this. It's just a start. We'll be, playing around with these some more. We're gonna do another one. We're gonna do another fill layer. I'm gonna go for a dark color here. I'm gonna use this as gonna add a black mask, and we're gonna add just an ambient occlusion should do it. Yeah, you're gonna know it's gonna look like this. I'm gonna invert it. There we go. A little bit of contrast, some blur. We have this very nice dark look there, like that. That's just for the AO. Honestly, this is already what I want. You can just play around with that later. We're gonna add some edge details, and we're gonna keep going with this. Yeah, make them like this. We're gonna give this some kind of nice, companion color. Let's go for like a nice lighter brown, maybe. Good. Yep. That's perfect, and we're gonna add edges, and we can add like a regular mask editor. We're gonna do You can add some contrast to that. I should put this to 1 if you want to see what it does. It's very cool. It works. I can just lower this a little bit. I could add some textures if I wanted to. Let's add some textures. So yeah, we're gonna add a fill layer. We're gonna play around with that just a little bit. 35, yeah, something like that. I don't know. I'm gonna give this a multiply or overlay, one of the two. Yeah, okay. You can see what it did. It's very subtle down. Yeah, so multiply. Yeah, it's multiply, and you can just lower this down. I need it to be 100. Be subtle. You know, you can make it a little bit subtle, just so it has that effect, but not too much. But you shouldn't really do that. You should leave it as it is and just mainly play around with it until you find the look that you want. See what I'm doing? I'm gonna keep adding some of that. There we go. I like that. And I added this, and then I can just lower the intensity if I don't want this to be that intense. And play around with this, and that'll blur just a little bit. And now we're gonna add a nice filter called Blur Slope. Now this is what we're gonna do. It's gonna create this kind of design. You see that? It's really cool. It's really, really nice. And again, if you don't want to use the mask generator, you can just do, oh wow. Oh wow, it changed because it's because they lowered the scale. Yeah. Yeah, but now we can play around with this. Again, you don't need the grunge, just long as you could have it. And now we can just see our blur slope, what our blur slope is doing. So if I go in here, it creates this kind of like weird, cool chuckle, like a crystallized, dirty look, and it's really cool. And if I add height, I increase the height or lower it depending on what you want to do. Increase it or lower it, just a tiny bit, just a little bit of touch. It's gonna give you this nice, dirty look on top of our edges here. And now I can just either control this by doing two things. I'm gonna try to do the contrast thing and see what happens. Yeah, it makes it sharper. You can put this beneath the blur, the slope. You put it above. Though both gives different effects. This one just sharpens the thing already beneath it. And I can add another filter like a little blur and soften those edges just a tiny bit. Let's go with like 2. Yeah, 2, just, there we go. Yeah, it's kind of cool. That's kind of soft too. Let's go with, yeah, I like that. It's pretty soft. Pretty soft. And of course, you can add, I recommend you to add a paint beneath the slope. And then you can go to my brushes and just, add or remove. And we can remove some of the things we don't want or add some other areas. This is very fun. This is where you're going to start, playing around with this and making it more unique. Adding different dirt layers and, playing around with it. This is going to be the fun part. And, you can just do all that if you want. If you don't want something to be in a certain area, like, oh, I don't want nothing in all of this area, I'm just going to remove it. And we have a clean, and so on and so forth. You can select the polygon fill and then just select the whole mesh. I don't want that to have that. And there we go. Awesome. And then we can just obviously add more to this than we have now. Now I want to add some kind of color, and I'm going to go to some dark, maybe dark brown or something. Mask here. And I'm going to pick, this time I'm going to pick a fill. I'm going to pick one of these grungies. Think about this. Yeah, there we go. Very nice grungy look. Now we see what we're doing. Yeah, see that? And you can scale it. Nice, very nice. See some variety to the whole thing. And then you can add some levels to customize this. And these are the ones that are just gonna like lower the intensities, or you can just blend them like screen or something and lower them really small. They're gonna just be subtle little hints at that. Cool. You can also add, by the way, some kind of texture to this. Like I'm gonna add something like a nylon to this, and you see what it does, right? Nylon. What else do we got? Let's pick another wool. I have a couple of wool texture. This one, I like this one. Yeah. And this is using a normal map just for you. This is important for later. I'm gonna give it like 6, right? And I'll put this beneath our edges, you know, or I don't know, one of these two. Remove the color, and you see what we're doing. The roughness, I don't know about the roughness. We could just play around with it just a little bit. But I'm going to add an anchor point, and this is going to be very fun to do. So we added an anchor point, and now anchor points, what anchor points do is they kind of, they're reference. This is what it will do, is that you can tell another generator, a fill layer, I think it's mainly generators, and you can tell it to reference this anchor point. So if I go down here where it says micro detail and turn it on, and I click on the normal, because this is using the normal, I'm going to click anchor point. It's going to reference this layer and tell it to use the normal channel. And I have to go to details. If I look at this, you see it's very subtle. It's there, right? It's there. It's just like, I think it's very subtle. Yeah, but it's, you see, it's applying this like darkness to this. And it's just one way to use it. I'm gonna use it again. Above this, I might add, this is gonna call coats number 1. We're gonna add another fill layer, right? So I can use that to show you. I'm gonna add this as a dark, and I'm gonna add a black mask. And I'm gonna use the metal edge wear, right? Now you see, it's only applying it to these edges over here, like all the edges, right? You can see that. We can again play around with all of this settings and anything we want. But what I'm going to do is go to the bottom as well, micro normal, anchor point, the wool, the normal, and go here and enable it. And boom, look at this. Now it's using the texture and applying it to all of the texture. And I can go in here and invert it so that's like in the inside, okay? Increase, and you can increase it, make the contrast, make it less, whatever you want to do, and then you can add things on top of it. Let's add some kind of fingers. So now I'm just gonna add this a little bit, and I'm gonna play around with this texture. Not too much, just a little bit, because it's not that, you know. Yeah, that I'm gonna lower that down so it's a bit more effective, and then we're gonna add it to a multiplier. Yeah. Now you see it's only applied to some areas. And again, you can scale this down so that it applies to those specific areas, or you can use a different channel. Overlay, you see what it does. It added it. It's just like on top of it, and we can like lower it down, whatever we want. But I'm really going to do this is I'm just going to lower the intensity. So I'm going to give this not a screen now. Multiplier usually works pretty well, and lower it really small. I want you to have a little bit of touch that is there, but not enough, you know, not enough that you see it, just a little bit. So 40 looks pretty good. That's cool. I'm gonna call this coat 02. And now we're gonna add a metal. So we're gonna go to the metal. We're gonna add a folder. We're gonna add here, and we're gonna add base metal. Give it 1. Give it some nice roughness, and lower this color. It's going to be a nice base for our metal. Call this metal. And I'm going to add a mask with color selection. And now I'm just going to select the parts that I want to have the metal. So I'm going to click here. I want it to be this, and I want it to be this piece right there. Perfect. I don't want it to have that, so I'm gonna have that's from the wool. So we're gonna go back to the wool right here, and I'm gonna white mask and just select that and this, and we are done. And now we're gonna add some nice edges or something. You know, just go here. You know, I think I don't know. Not yet. I'm not sure yet. So we're just gonna lower this down. Some metallic, some reflectiveness, generator, and I think we can just add an edge. See what happens. Right? I like that. I like that. Some contrast to that. Amount. We can have a lot, just a little bit. It's gonna be like that, and now we're gonna add levels. Yeah, leave it there. We're gonna filter. We're gonna use our blur, but we're gonna also add another filter, contrast, and put this to 1, and put this to 100, and increase this just. Maybe we can put this on top. Turn this off. See what we're doing. Levels, and then we can. Just a small amount. Yeah, and this one I think we're gonna have to put this to 10. Yeah, it's okay. It's nothing too big. It's just a subtle little touch. And I'm gonna add a blur, I think, on top, just to. Yeah, we go. So we can just do 2.1, 18 or something. Just a subtle touch that is there. Maybe even lower this and increase its roughness just a tiny bit. Yeah, and again, feel free to play around with this. I'm not sure if I want the blur slope actually, but I don't know. Checking it and checking if it works. Just realized this is not. Something like that should work pretty fine. But now we're gonna add some damage to that. So I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna go with edges. I'm gonna fill, and I'm gonna give this a black mask, and we're gonna play with the color, which I'm gonna pick is some darker color, some inside behind, something like that. So here. And now we're gonna be playing around with a little bit of this. We're gonna go here. I'm gonna add some damage, let's say, right to the bottom of this. And if I add it, you see what it did, right? Just an example. And then I can again apply a little bit of height here. But I want to add. We're gonna stack a lot of things on top of this. So number one, we can add a contrast. Boom. We can add a paint layer beneath this, and it's the same one as this essentially, right? Same thing. It's just that this one we can turn on and off. So delete this, go into my paint and add it here. Cool. And I don't even want that to be black. I'm just gonna pick a lighter color, something like that, and put this beneath the edge, or I don't know, right above. Still trying to figure that out. Anyway, yeah, so that we're gonna add to 1. We're gonna add again a filter again, blur. This is gonna be very small. That's pretty good. Trying to find the right number. I think that's honestly because when we paint now, we want it to see that sort of like soft look to it, so you just try to find the right. Let's see if I pick a different brush, dirt brush. We just want to have that sort of very soft look to it, And we can keep adding on top of this. We can add on top of this a blur slope, and it's going to do this. Now, put this to 100. I can put this beneath the blur. Yeah. I can put this to like something. Either increase the blur, and then you can see what we're doing. Go to here and add like, oh, I want some damage. Boom. Looks a very nice and stylized, like darkened look, and I can add something like this. Increase that fun. Super cool. You know, it really adds that little nice touch of damage. And again, you want to be a bit more sharp. You just put this to like 1 or maybe 14. And you can add on top of that. We can do many things. It's going to sharpen. It's going to sharpen that even further than it is right now. If you want, you can add other things. You can add actually another contrast. It's going to give you like a blend of everything. That looks cool too without it. With it, it's like a nice blend. Really cool. Just going to call this damage. That is sort of a piece of our metal. But let's do the same thing with our little bit of the, with this. With here. So I just want to add like this kind of damage in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the bottom over here. I'm going to add a folder. Yeah, we're going to add a folder. We're going to call it damages. And we're going to make a layer inside of this. And I'm going to call damage mask. And all I'm going to do here is just going to lower this down, add some intensity, roughness, and let's pick one of these colors, something like that. Maybe darker, and add a black mask. And the black mask, I'm going to add an anchor point to the black mask, right? We're going to add on top of this, add a black mask. I'm going to give this a generator. I'm going to pick the edges. Generator is going to do this. And I want you right here. We'll change the color later. Just gonna try to. We're gonna have filters on top of this, like the blur slope filter on top of this, and so on. We can add some paint as well for later, and or we can put paint above actually. And do this. I think we're also going to need to do some indentation there. But what we're going to do is we're going to go here and we're going to add our micro height damage mask and tell it, actually like that. And turn it on. And now, if I go here and I paint some damage, you see what we're doing? See that? Go here, change the color to, I don't know, some dark brown color. Let's pick darker brown or something, something like that. You see what I did there? Now I can go here and damage as well. So what are we doing here? Look at that. And that's just an idea of what you can do. And again, just gonna give it maybe some more lighter color maybe and more indents, and then go over here and you can add the intensity of it, the radius of it, and the effects. But remember, it also added another layer of damage. You see that? So I can go into my paint layer and remove the pieces that I don't want to have that damage, and manually, of course, paint anything else that I don't want to have that. But you see what it does. You can call it here edge damage. What it's doing, it's referencing this mask right here, right? It's taking that mask and it's taking it as a reference for it to paint some damage. This is one of the ones that I've made, right? You can see right there that I have some extra damage in these areas. And if we go to my little damage folder here, you can see I made some more, and the same thing goes around here. So I have this mask, I can remove this and I can add to it, And it's all using this mask over here, and is then adding a color bit for this area, and then of course we have the damages for this damage. Didn't give it a name, but again, it's there. And what it's doing, it's referencing this mask to make this damage. I have levels here. You see, it's just to make everything sharp, and a blur slope in the paint. And of course, if you just don't want something, you can add or remove, and that's awesome. You know, I love figuring out how to do that, and that was just so cool to create that. You know, you can see we can add some nice damage in here, and the edges. You don't want it to be like it's very worn out. And of course, you don't want any of it. Take it out. Have a clean, nice, just dirty, grungy look, or you want something really nice, old and worn. Super cool. So, yeah, that is sort of it. How to create a very nice, cool looking, stylized little bag here in Substance Painter. We had some fun really creating some of these nice textures and details. So it was really fun. Anchor points are just really cool. And I know it's something that if you're starting out with Substance, maybe it might be kind of like hard to understand at first, but really, as long as you understand that this is just a reference, it's different layers that take reference from different, it could be a texture, it could be anything. So I wanted to reference this mask. That's it. If I wanted to reference a texture like I did with a wool, it references the wool texture, and you can reference again. If I go back to where this was, click on here. It says I'm using it on the edge. You see, I'm using, and I can tell it to use base color, metallic, roughness, but I want the normal or height are going to be the most important thing. So you're going to use normal, put on normal. You want to use the height, you put on the height, and that's it. And turn it on, of course. And it's really, really cool because you can do all kinds of things with it. You can add AO. You see, we have more AO here, or you can add some. Where's my edge? Just keep forgetting where it is. Is it here? No, this one. There we go. You see, it adds this nice coat of of darkness to the inside of the material. That's really cool. I don't need it if I don't want it, but if I want it, it looks very cool. Super cool. So yeah, so anchor points and mask are super cool. Awesome. But yeah, that was our little tutorial series on how to make this cool little bag. So hope you guys enjoyed the video, and until next time, guys, thank you for watching and goodbye.